Well, we're very excited about this time. We're about to, get into this time of the season. There's been a lot of work put in, going back really from the off season, in through training camp and up until now. I feel like our chemistry has grown, which has been one of the biggest things that we felt that we needed to work on. Having our systems in place has kind of helped the football matters go smoothly, and we think we've made some good progress. But until you play that team, you really don't know where you stand, and so that's really where the excitement is, to see how far we've come. And Prairie View will be a good contest, and they're more than capable of being tough for us, and so that'll be a good challenge. We'll know where we sit after that game.
From watching the film, Prairie View, or maybe you watched the game actually live, what
Yeah.
tell us about that? What jumped off the TV screen to you?
Well, intense. I don't know if our players quite yet understand the intensity level that they're going to have to match to be in this game and be successful in this game. And so we had a little bit of conversation about that on Sunday. And today's practice in preparation for that is going to be another test. But we're going to have to match their level of intensity. You can tell that they get up for big games, and they're going to play hard for the entire 60 minutes and more if they're after. So we got to match that intensity to give ourselves a chance to win. I honestly believe that.
Do you think they have maybe a slight advantage having already played the game?
I would say so. As a seasoned coach, you're able to develop your chemistry, just the way the logistics of things and just the way a game functions, the substitutions, the whole operation. They've had the advantage of going through that, and again, we have not. And so it stands to say that we're probably more prone to mistakes now. We've rehearsed quite a bit on everything from A to Z, how we stretch, how we come in the stadium, how we warm up, the whole everything. And we've done that a few times, but actual experience doing it live is going to be the telltale sign.
I know coaches watch film, but coaches also talk to other coaches sometimes. Have you talked to Matt yet? He was offensive coordinator against Prairie View.
I answered that question this morning in another interview, and I'll say it again. Yeah, Coach Mack and I continue to be friends first. So we talk on a daily basis. I think things are going to might be every 3 days now or every once a week with our schedules. But he told me some things that we saw from watching the game live. It wasn't anything more than what we'd seen. I mean, they say the eye in the sky doesn't lie, but we talked about the game. He talked about their personnel and what he thought was impressive about those young men before they even snapped it. And it's about what we figured, it's what we thought.
Well, Coach, have you know coaches don't like to talk about themselves, but this is your first game as head coach. So how do you approach this? What's your nerves? What's your gut level?
Well, it hasn't happened yet. Be honest with you, it's going to happen though. Sometime in the next 30-some hours, the butterflies will kick in, and I'll anticipate that moment and hopefully deal with it well. But for right now, it's really business as usual. I am coordinating and working on the defensive side of the ball, watching special teams a lot more closer than I have in the past. But Coach Mack has always allowed me to be a part of special teams and kind of have an eye in on things, especially the defensive ones where we have to cover. I have not changed in that area. And, I have full confidence in T.C. Taylor and our offensive staff to run the offense and do what we've been doing in years past. That's the compliment my predecessor gave to me, and that's what I'm going to give to them. And we have expectations here. We understand what's at stake, and so I'll let each coach their guys and do their thing, and I worry about the defense. And so far, that's really allowed me to stay calm.
But do you have the sense that you need to get over there with the offense as well? And you're the head coach. I mean,
Right.
How do you kind of separate that?
That's a great question. I really knew the answer coming in, and as I really explained, I think one of the biggest compliments Coach Mack gave to me and the defensive staff is he left us alone. In 4 years, he was upstairs 4 times to discuss a defensive football matter. Twice was in year 1. And he just wanted to know why we didn't bring more pressure versus Howard year 1. And we had a good explanation. And that's one of the greatest compliments you can have. And like I said, my confidence in Coach T.C. Taylor and the offense and those guys and what they do is I'm going to give them the same kind of respect. I'm going to know certain details that we've got going in. There's some things that I would like to see and weigh in as far as my expertise on what hurts or affects defenses, but I'm not going to be a meddler. I'm not going to get involved. Each man knows that they're going to be accountable for how they handle their young men, mentor them, and get them coached up on Saturdays. Myself is no different. And so I think that's a high compliment that you can pay to a colleague is we trust you. I trust you enough to let's go ahead and get this done, and my expertise and my help is always available if you need it. But not meddling or being that involved, immersed in it, I'm not going to do that.
How big is this opportunity for you, the program at university, to open a season on a big stage on Sunday games on TV?
It is great. It is a great stage. It is a big stage. I don't think it's. I believe our young people understand, certainly the ones who've been in the program the last 2 or 3 years, what a great opportunity this is for our institution, our conference, and our football program. And we want to go out there and put a good product on the field and perform well for our fans and our alumni base. To not do that would be very disappointing. And so those things have really been built up in us with Coach Mack and what the foundation we established going back 2 or 3 years ago. I don't believe that's going to have a side effect or a residual effect. To some of our young people who've never played before, you can anticipate that may happen, and we're just going to have to do our best to help manage them through that situation.
What area has your most confidence as team-wise, maybe offense, defense, or whatever, and what area maybe you're a little bit concerned with going into Sunday's game?
Well, I'll speak with my concerns first of all. Special teams. We've got 2 new specialists in our punter and one of our place kickers, kickoff. One's a freshman, one's a junior college transfer, but neither of them have ever been on this stage, and neither of them have ever been in our program where the expectations are understood and to be able to come out and perform. And special teams are a third of the game. We certainly gave it the attention it deserved throughout training camp, and so we know we have to be successful in that phase in order to compete and have a chance to win the football game. So that's the area that I am most concerned. In addition to that, not just a specialist, we have different parts now. Some young men who either redshirted or didn't have much experience last year are going to be stepping up in the kicking game, and their performances are going to be critical. And I just really don't know what we're going to get just yet. As far as our strengths go, I think our secondary on defense has got to show up. They've benefited in the past from having strong defensive line with depth, and that has shielded them some from having to do big things in the secondary. But I think now the time is the turn is tide, and the time is now where the secondary's got to perform on defense. We certainly have the experience to do so. Offensively, I will say our strength is running the football. We have some great perimeter personnel as well. But my experience has been, as the O-line goes, so too with your offense. And so we have expectations from those guys as well.
What went into the decision to – Randy's here listed inside defensive tackle.
That's correct.
Last year.
Yep.
I don't know if you got bigger. Just put more speed on the field, have your best player on the field, or what went into that decision with inside? So,
Coach Mack and I joked, and the staff, and we joked when I was named head football coach, and just looking at the personnel, we kind of – some things we have done and put in place is similar to our approach in 2014. It's kind of like turning back the clock and reestablishing that foundation. Now, the personnel, I don't know whether to say that they're very similar. We think so. And I speak that way because in those years, we had a football team that was a little seasoned, not much, with some growing to do. And so the Antonio Browns and those guys of the world, they were inside guys before they became outside guys. And we benefited with some quickness. That's always been our approach is we're most of the times undersized than most of our opponents, but we rely on speed and quickness at pretty much every position. And so we saw the benefits in that. Randy had done some of that last year, and it was beneficial for us. It adds depth at a position where you need to have people. And so that's why we went with the move, because we think it's going to give us some added bonus. Plus, we think it will allow some younger players to play sooner on the outside.
Speaking of younger players, 2 true freshman stars in depth chart, Chuck and Ricky Lee. What have they done obviously to stand out in our starting squad?
I tell you what, they have come in as advertised, and we're so thankful to other people who have missed the boat on those guys. Great to have them. First off, say about those young men is that they're good students. They really understand the importance of working hard to earn a degree. They're very, very committed to their academic success. And from an athletic standpoint, both of them have come in through training camp, have beaten out players who've been here a year or 2 years. They've studied, they understand, they've made a couple mistakes, but they have progressively gotten better and continue to get better. I don't know where their ceiling is, but Ricky Lee's been a godsend. To see what he's done already as a freshman, I can't wait to see him in 2-3 years, Lord willing. There's no telling where his ceiling is at. And Chuck has put on a significant amount of weight and strength in his short time here, and he moves so well for such a big kid that we're just confident that they can both go out at this level and do what it will take to help us win the football game.
You touched on it a little bit before. We saw A&T on TV last week.
Yeah.
And then later on we saw Prairie View on TV last week.
Right.
You're going to be on TV Sunday at noon and
right.
everything. Those teams almost, A&T won and Prairie View good showing,
Right.
So it's like, got to keep up, right?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, congratulations, North Carolina A&T. That was a big win, I'm sure, for their institution, but for the MEAC. They've always represented our conference well in what they do. I think if you watch that game closely, their signature of who they are came out, and that's a good, coached, disciplined football team. I've always shared with our players, that's one of the highest compliments anyone can say about us, is that we're well coached, we're disciplined, we play very hard. This stage is not anything that I think is going to overwhelm us. I'd be surprised if that were the case. I've said it before on day one, sitting in this seat, about our expectations. We want to be in that conversation, so we welcome this stage. Now, we have to go out and perform and get the job done. That'll be the biggest challenge, of course, because Prairie View will be sure to stand in the way. But Eric Dooley's an excellent football coach. He's been in that stage as well, and he wants Prairie View to be Grambling of the SWAC. And so I'm sure they've welcomed the stage as well as playing against Rice and others. And so we want to be in the conversation. Here we go. We have it. Just like North Carolina A&T, they had their opportunity. They made very good of it. And now we have to go out and do the same thing. Devante had an awesome camp. He had an awesome camp. The thing you love about Devante is he's a coach on the field, as I've always said. He came in with an open mind, an open heart, took well through his redshirt year, was able to sit back and observe and learn a whole bunch of different things. He's the only safety we have in our time here, other than C.J. Moore, that's played every safety position in the game and played at a high level. He came to training camp. He had reps just like everybody else, like the 2s, the 3s. He never complained. We made sure that we dialed back some scrimmage reps for him because every football player, as we all know, only has so many plays in him. So we wanted to make sure we got him to Sunday. But he's been great, and I expect big things from him this season.
He said this fall is probably the best he's felt since he's been here.
Yeah.
And he had a great year last year. So
yeah.
How scary is it for the rest of the league to have a healthy Devante around this season?
Well, I mean, he's going to have to go out and prove that. But I share his sentiment about, he was getting a little heavy. And so we poked him and we needled him about putting on so much weight in the offseason. So I think what he did was, I don't know how many training sessions he had, but those guys, Ryan Smith does a real good job of really getting around some of those guys that he played with that are still on the team. And I think they had a couple sessions where they really worked out together. But credit to Devante, he was focused on coming in with his body a certain way. I think we all agreed on the defensive side that he got a little quicker. He lost some weight. He really firmed up. And, he's going to have to go out and prove and do the things that he wants to do. But I would not bet against him. He's got that Reggie Hunter spirit, and he's a smart football player.
Yeah, but they may have already asked him this question. When you recruited him, what do you like about him? I mean, he's a smaller guy.
Yeah.
He was playing with a lot of P5 guys in Tucker.
Yeah.
What stood out about him when you saw him?
Well, Devante had a certain tenacity about him. It was really a strong confidence, a swag, as the young people say. He didn't have the greatest highlight tape. He just seemed to have a very high football IQ, and he had a certain confidence about him. We didn't know that he was going to develop and be the kind of player he is today, honestly speaking. But you could tell after his redshirt freshman year that he had a really high IQ football. He could pick up on things pretty smart, and that gives you more than half a chance to play in this level. And the next thing was we always pride ourselves in trying to get our guys in position, and then their athleticism has to come out. And I don't think Devante has ever really failed in that area since in his time here.
After last year, obviously the A&T game he didn't play.
Right.
At the pregame incident.
Right.
Your position coach, he was emotional on the sideline.
Yeah.
Since last year, have you guys sat down and talked about it?
We talked about it briefly. We have a relationship. His mother, Tamika, and his stepdad, and those people have done an excellent job of raising him. I think that was an out-of-character moment for Devante. Anybody who knows him would tell you that. And, my heart, really, was broken a little bit because of that for the team as much as him. But we have spoken to it, and we've spoken about it. And I've mentored him on, hey, these things could come up again. And going forward, it might not be in the football arena. It might be in life. And I think it was a good learning lesson for him, unfortunately, at our detriment, I feel. But sometimes that's the way life works. And the football field is no different than anywhere else.
He talked also, being a senior, how much it would mean to him to be elected one of the captains. I don't know if you picked your captain yet, and you don't have to say if he's going to be one. But has he shown the qualities that you kind of look for in a captain from the spring to now?
Well, I'm not going to say about our captains. You're right about that. But Devante has always been a leader of this team from day one in the way he carries himself for the most part. His approach to playing the game and preparation for the game, I think in my time here as a safety with the safeties, there's only one other I know, and that's C.J. Moore. The two of them are very comparable in how they approach the game. They can point things out to me as a coach and a coordinator that might, work better for us, or why are you not doing this? And I never thought about that, or that's a good idea. Let's keep that in our hip pocket. So Devante has demonstrated leadership qualities and has it, whether he's a captain or not. I think everybody on the team knows that he's one of our leaders, and guys are willing to follow him. Well, the first thing we had to get out of the way, and we did this going back prior to this week, was just really set the stage as to what this game will mean for our school, our conference, and our team, to make sure for the younger players that they understand what type of environment that we're going into. It's been about intensity and discipline. The focus has been on us. We feel very strongly that we control our destiny by executing, being disciplined, and playing to a high level with energy, things of that nature. We'll have a chance to win the football game. I'm never going to sit here and brag and say we're going to do this and that and to the other team, but the focus, the approach has been on being intense, being disciplined, and executing. And I think if we're able to do those things at a very high level, we will match what Prairie View has to offer, and then we'll play the game out from there.
This has been an exclusive presentation of the NCCU Sports Network.